Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
This book begins with a very important phone call. It happened on September 19, 2025. The two leaders who spoke were President Donald Trump of America and President Xi Jinping of China. This conversation was not just a normal talk. It was a historic moment for the whole world. America and China are the two biggest economies. This means their money and business activities affect many other countries. So, when their leaders talk, it is a big event that many people watch closely. Many people believe this phone call could truly change things. It might change how America and China work together. It might also change how other countries see them. The call lasted for almost 1 hour. During this time, President Trump and President Xi talked about many big topics that shape global events. One important topic was trade. This means how products move between America and China. For a long time, there have been problems with taxes on imported goods. Both leaders wanted to discuss these issues to make trade fairer. Another big thing they talked about was the TikTok app. This app is very popular, but it caused some disagreement and security worries between the two countries. They needed to find a way to agree on its future and ownership. They also discussed peace in the world. This included talking about the war in Ukraine and finding ways to end conflicts. Finding solutions for big global problems was a key part of their talk. This first chapter will help us understand why this phone call was so important. It will show us the big ideas and challenges that President Trump and President Xi discussed. Their conversation set the stage for many things that could happen next in the world. It was a step toward solving big problems, but also showed that much work is still needed for lasting understanding and cooperation. 2. The big deal. The phone call brought a big surprise: an agreement about the TikTok app. This was a very important deal after more than a year of discussion. President Donald Trump shared the news on Truth Social, saying he was happy about the TikTok approval. This meant that President Xi Jinping had agreed to a plan for TikTok's operations in the United States. This breakthrough solved a big problem that had been troubling the relationship between the two countries for a long time. Under this new plan, American companies will now own most of TikTok's business in the U.S. About 80% of TikTok's U.S. operations will go to a group of American investors. These investors include important technology companies like Oracle and well-known investment firms such as Andreessen Horowitz. ByteDance, which is the Chinese company that owns TikTok, will keep a smaller part, less than 20%. This specific amount is key because it is below the limit that would cause national security worries for the U.S. government. It means that the control stays mostly with American hands. The agreement also changed how TikTok will work for American users. They will start using a new version of the app. This new version will use technology that comes from ByteDance, ensuring the app still works well. A very important part of the deal is about user information. All user data from Americans will be kept safe and managed in Texas by Oracle. This step helps to make sure that Chinese companies do not have direct access to the private information of American users, which was a main concern for the U.S. This deal is very important for both countries. For the United States, it means that national security worries about Chinese access to American user data are addressed directly. It also helps to avoid a full ban of TikTok, which has over 170 million users in America. Many young people use TikTok every day, so an outright ban would have caused many problems and upset a lot of users. For China, agreeing to this deal was a strategic choice. It lets ByteDance keep some involvement in TikTok's U.S. business rather than losing it completely. Chinese officials said this deal respects market principles, showing they are willing to work with international rules. This resolution also helps to calm some of the big tensions between the United States and China. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had said earlier that the business parts of the deal were ready since March. Only the leaders' political approval was needed to make it happen. The agreement came after several rounds of trade talks, including important discussions held in Madrid. By solving the TikTok issue, the two countries remove a significant obstacle, possibly opening the way for more peaceful discussions on other difficult topics in the future. This agreement shows that even with many disagreements, both sides can find a way to compromise. 3. Money and power. The phone call between the U.S. and China was not only about TikTok. It also covered the complex issue of trade. For many years, the two countries have had a difficult relationship about money and goods. Both nations have put high taxes, called tariffs, on products from the other country. These tariffs make imported goods more expensive. For example, the U.S. currently has about 55% in tariffs on Chinese goods. This includes a 10% basic tax, 20% for fentanyl issues, and 25% from past rules. In early 2025, these taxes were much higher. U.S. tariffs on Chinese products almost reached 145%. China also put high taxes on U.S. products, up to 125%. These high taxes made it very hard for companies to do business and almost stopped trade. However, both sides have often stopped before things got too bad. President Donald Trump has extended special agreements called tariff truces many times. The latest one will end on November 10, 2025. This means a new decision for trade is needed soon. During the recent phone call, Chinese leader Xi Jinping stressed avoiding one-sided trade rules. He asked the United States to create a fair environment for Chinese companies to invest. China often presents itself as supporting free trade, but it also keeps some of its own markets closed. These trade problems and high tariffs hurt businesses and farmers in both countries. For example, American farm exports to China fell by 53% in the first 7 months of 2025. This shows the real financial cost of trade disagreements for farmers and for people who buy goods in China. Despite these issues, the United States and China are very connected by money. They are the world's two biggest economies, making up about 40% of the world's total economy. This strong economic connection means that even when they have serious problems, they often need to find ways to work together. This interdependence is crucial for global economic stability. Many rounds of trade talks have happened to solve these issues. From May to September 2025, officials met 4 times. They found some agreements and temporary tax cuts. But big problems still remain, like farm goods, technology sharing, and the fentanyl trade. These talks continue to be a key part of the relationship, showing how money and power are always linked. 4. The world is watching. The phone call between President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping was very important. It was not just about issues between America and China, like trade or the TikTok app. The two leaders also talked about big problems happening around the world. These global topics showed that their talk was important for many countries, not just their own. One of the main topics was the war in Ukraine. This war involves Russia, and it has caused trouble for many countries. President Trump shared that they made progress on how to end this war. However, he did not share specific details about how this would happen. China has a long-standing partnership with Russia. Yet, China also calls for peace talks for Ukraine. This shows that China might be open to finding solutions on this difficult issue. Discussing Ukraine means that America and China have some shared interests, even when they strongly disagree on many other things. Trump often connects economic pressure, like special taxes on products, to solving big global issues. Many other countries around the world watched this phone call very closely. In Asia, traditional friends of America, like Japan and South Korea, have strong business ties with China. They must balance their safety agreements with America and their important economic links with China. Other countries, such as India, also face complex choices about their relationships in a world where America and China are both very strong. In Europe, some nations feel like they are caught between these two powerful countries. They sometimes express frustration when America and China have trade disputes. But they also look for opportunities to make their own decisions and build their own power. The conversation also highlighted the ongoing competition between America and China for influence everywhere on the planet. Both countries want to be leaders in new technologies, such as advanced computing and manufacturing. They also want to lead in global economic projects, like China's Big Belt and Road Initiative. The world's economy depends a lot on these two countries. They do a large amount of business together, even when they have serious arguments. This strong economic connection gives them reasons to talk and find solutions, even when it is difficult. The way America and China communicate and work together truly changes how the whole world works. This big talk can affect international trade, global safety, and how all countries get along. It is a moment full of both hope for peace and danger for the world. 5. Two leaders talk. After their important phone call, President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping decided to meet in person. This was a very important next step in their relationship. They made plans to meet at a big summit. This summit, called APEC, would happen in South Korea. The dates for this meeting were October 31 and November 1, 2025. This would be the first time President Trump and President Xi had met face-to-face since President Trump became president again in January 2025. Their last meeting was at the G20 summit in 2019. President Trump also shared plans for future visits. He said he would visit China early in 2026. In return, President Xi would visit the United States at an appropriate time. These plans show that both leaders believe it is very important to keep talking at the highest level. Meeting in person allows leaders to have more direct and meaningful conversations. It helps them to better understand each other's views on complex issues. These direct talks are crucial for managing the many difficult matters between their two powerful nations. The choices made by both leaders are also strongly affected by what is happening in their own countries. In America, President Donald Trump must balance his America First goals with real concerns. For example, he considers how trade problems impact American farmers and businesses. Different groups of people in America have strong opinions about the right way to deal with China. These opinions create pressure on the president. Likewise, in China, President Xi faces his own pressures from inside the country. He needs to show strength to the Chinese people. He also must make sure that China's economy continues to grow. Strong economic ties and good relationships with countries like the United States are vital for China's progress. The personal connection between President Trump and President Xi has always been a factor in how their countries relate. President Trump has sometimes spoken about President Xi as a friend, even when their countries had disagreements. This personal element can play a part in their discussions and in the final decisions they make. Despite their different political positions and challenges, their direct meetings and talks are seen as essential for finding paths forward. Both leaders know that their conversations have a big impact on the entire world. These upcoming meetings will be closely watched by many. 6. A new kind of talk. The way big countries talk to each other has changed a lot. It's not just two leaders speaking quietly anymore. Today, many people and groups around the world are involved. The global stage has many powerful nations, making international discussions much more complex than before. News travels very fast, so diplomatic moves are seen by everyone quickly, which puts new pressure on leaders. Business and money are now very central to diplomacy. The economies of the United States and China are deeply connected. Even when they disagree, companies in both nations want things to be stable. Trade problems can make farmers and businesses lose money. This strong economic tie gives leaders important reasons to keep talking and find solutions, helping to avoid bad impacts on their people and markets. Technology has changed how leaders communicate. With social media, updates about talks go out instantly. This new speed and openness affect diplomacy. President Donald Trump often uses social media to announce important news about agreements. This is a modern way for a leader to share messages directly with his country and the world, different from older, more private ways of talking. The United States and China have official systems for their discussions. These include regular meetings between officials and clear rules for how they communicate. These established ways of talking provide structure for managing their difficult relationship. Many rounds of formal discussions often happen before a big phone call or meeting. However, these communication systems are always tested because the two countries also compete strongly in many important areas. Despite challenges, having these ways to talk is very important for solving problems. 7. What people think. After the important phone call, many people had different ideas about what it meant. Some people thought it was a very good step forward. They saw it as a sign that the United States and China could find ways to work together. The agreement about TikTok was a big positive for them. They believed it showed that direct talks between President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping were helpful for peace. These people felt that even small agreements could lead to bigger ones in the future, helping the world feel safer. However, not everyone shared this hopeful view. Other people worried that the phone call did not solve the biggest problems between the two countries. They felt that while the TikTok deal was good, it was only one issue. They believed deeper problems like trade disputes and competition for power were still there. These critics thought that the solutions found in the call might only last for a short time. They also looked at President Trump's way of doing things. They worried that his focus on quick deals might not fix the long-term challenges. Some felt that the main reasons for disagreement were still strong. The international community also watched closely. Many countries worried that if the U.S. and China did not truly fix their problems, it could make the world less stable for everyone. They found it hard when the two biggest powers had so many disagreements. So, the phone call had both good sides and bad sides. The good side was that leaders talked, and a deal was made for TikTok. This showed that working together was possible. The bad side was that many tough issues still need real solutions. People wondered if this call was truly a new start or just a pause in a long competition. 8. What happens next? The important phone call between President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping on September 19, 2025, showed a new start. Both leaders said the talk was good. They discussed many things. These included the TikTok app, trade problems, and the war in Ukraine. It was a big moment for the two largest economies in the world. Looking ahead, the TikTok deal is a key step. American companies will now own most of TikTok's business in the United States. This helps address worries about user data and national security. For trade, problems still remain. The U.S. still has high taxes on many Chinese goods, about 55%. China also has its own taxes. Both sides need to talk more to lower these taxes and make trade fairer. There are important dates to watch. President Trump and President Xi will meet face-to-face soon. This will happen at the APEC summit in South Korea. The meeting is from October 31 to November 1, 2025. This will be their first in-person meeting in many years. President Trump also plans to visit China early next year, in 2026. President Xi will visit the United States after that. These meetings are very important for them to continue talking directly. But big challenges are still there. The TikTok agreement needs final checks. The tariffs, trade taxes, could go back up when the current agreement ends on November 10. Also, competition in technology, like new computer chips and artificial intelligence, is strong. World issues such as the war in Ukraine and peace in Asia still need a lot of discussion. Both countries must find ways to work together while competing. This moment is full of both hope and danger. The phone call showed that leaders can find ways to talk and agree on some things. But many big problems are not yet solved. The next few months will show if this new path will lead to real peace, or if old problems will come back. The choices made by these two powerful countries will affect everyone around the globe. What do you think will happen next for these two powerful countries?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.